Welcome back to Eye on South Asia. Before the break, we were talking about the TED award that came out for 2013, and we
significant achievements.
Significant achievements. We have more.
Right.
There are 10 Indian Americans researchers that were named recipients of the prestigious Sloan Research Fellowships of 2012.
Correct.
Now, can you tell us what that's all about?
Oh, this Alfred P. Sloan, this fellowship actually foundation started back in 1955, so almost 60 years, and they actually go out and pick individuals who could be next generations, scientists, mathematicians, and these are individuals like bright kids, and they get a scholarship of $50,000 each for his or her continued research. Now, it's not easy to receive a fellowship for that, right? Because to qualify for this fellowship, candidates must be nominated by fellow scientists, and it must be approved. Their name and their credentials must be approved by a panel of senior scholars.
Right.
So in this world of computer science, mathematics, chemistry, neuroscience, computer science, physics, astronomy, and science and mathematics related fields, 10 Indian Americans have been named out of some 160 people.
Right. And so all these researchers, this grant that you were talking about, it's actually going to be distributed to their universities, their respective programs that they're doing research in.
Yep.
And it's very important also to mention that past awardees have gone on to win Nobel Prizes, field medals like in math, and other awards.
Sure.
So very great honor, and we have covered this article in Indian Express. We have the awardees listed there.
I think any student who pursues his or her career in science or math or any one of these fields, I think their goal would be to receive a Sloan Fellowship, because it really, really it gives them a lot of credit and a lot of influence in their career when they advance.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that research will be allowed to really take a center stage and be successful. So congratulations to the Sloan Fellowship awardees. All right, so in the world of education, we actually have one unfortunate news story. It's kind of a mysterious story, I should say. The director of Asian American programming at the State University of New York in Stony Brook, her name is Sunita Mukhi, has been fired. And she actually came from the Philippines, but she's Indian origin, and she's been teaching Asian American studies, all over East Asia. She used to bring in a wealth of knowledge of Asian topics and artists and all sorts of things to her students. And all of a sudden, the university just kind of took charge, and they informed her on February 12th that her position had been discontinued and her term was ending February 28th. So it was really random and really sudden.
So now she's getting support from scholars, artists, writers, activists, and students. They all have come together to I think write a letter or to complain to Stony Brook University about her sudden departure. Not, I shouldn't say departure, but sudden firing, or that has surprised everybody. And so far, according to Sunita Mukhi, that has made an impact. That has made actually a strong impact.
Right.
The Stony Brook University website credits Sunita Mukhi with producing innovative programming to promote a multifaceted, intellectually sound and human understanding of sciences, of having presented artists of international caliber. So she has done a great job, and she's actually a PhD in performance studies from NYU, and recently awarded the Stony Brook University Award as a senior lecturer.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, she's very accomplished and an excellent director as well as say students, fellow students, and they're really pushing to have her reinstated as director. But so far, I believe that position has been vacant, and they're hiring a new associate director for it. It is very strange because they never actually gave a reason as to why she was being fired.
And the only reason that she's questioning, her dismissal, I should say, is because she's saying that she feels her work is not done yet. She wants to do a lot more for Stony Brook University, and that's why she wanted to take the program to the next level and make it more visible nationally and maybe internationally. So she really feels that she can really contribute a lot more in the future, and that's why she wants to get her position back.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, Stony Brook University never gave her any reason. But
that's very puzzling and very strange. Yeah. But that program still is continuing. Mm-hmm. They haven't taken out the program.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Just the director has been fired, so it's very strange. Mm-hmm. So on the topic of strange, yes. Okay.
Strange, very strange.
Yeah. So how about corporations using factories that don't exist in their, I guess, repertoire of locations?
Well, you know, I'm not surprised by the news, because in order to avoid taxes or save taxes, companies would do anything.
They would come up with the most creative ways to do this.
Right, and in this story, there's nothing sweet about Cadbury. Right. You know, we all love Cadbury, and of course, you know, Cadbury is, I think, one of the finest chocolate brand in the world. And here they had a fake factory in India in order to save only $46 million in taxes.
Only $46 million.
That's
well, you know,
right.
It seems like something that they can only get away with in a foreign country.
Right.
Because, you know, they can kind of go under the rug and kind of escape authorities for a little while, but they did get in trouble eventually by the Indian tax authorities. Cadbury had actually used this imaginary factory to avoid taxes in the state of Himachal Pradesh.
That's right.
And I think they were actually taking advantage of this exemption for companies that had constructed and were starting to produce in factories around a certain time. It was in March of 2010, and you know, turns out the factory doesn't exist.
Non-existent factory, and Cadbury PLC is actually now part of Mondelez International Inc. That we should mention that.
Right. Okay, so back in the U.S., we do have a very unfortunate news story from Port Orange in Florida.
Right.
Last week we were actually talking quite a bit about some major steps that had been taken in New York where hate crimes...
By Representative Joe Crowley, right?
Yes,
okay.
For hate crimes, you know, being tracked more. So, but that's not going to necessarily stop the, you know, flow of hate crimes being conducted, you know, on a weekly, daily basis. So, this story is actually about a Sikh man from Port Orange, Florida, who was shot at several times while driving in his car. He was going home from his convenience store with his son, and randomly a truck came by and there were several attackers and they shot at him. And it doesn't seem to be a random act of violence, not that there is such a thing, but... This
happened near Daytona Beach, and according to according to him and his son, they were just driving on the road and then truck passed by, which, you know, it could be one of the 90s or 1980s or 1990s late model Ford F-150. And all of a sudden they started shooting on Mr. Singh's car and himself. I think 2 bullets, one of them went in his thigh and the other one into his torso. And this man, just a owner of a convenience store, has no insurance. The community is trying to gather support for him to pay for his medical bills and everything. But police have not been able to, you know, caught a person yet, and we don't know, nobody knows actually who did it, why they did it.
Right. His name is Kanwaljit Singh.
Right.
And fortunately, he is still recovering, and he's in the hospital. He's able to speak with his family and friends. So, you know, we do wish him a good recovery and hope that he gets back on his feet. But again, the authorities, like, for example, the regional director of Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund, his name is Navtej Khalsa.
Right.
He is trying to have action taken where, you know, the FBI is involved and they can do a thorough investigation as to what happened.
Okay.
And continuing on with the string of hate crimes that we're talking about, this time it's actually an Indian who was doing the hate crime.
Right.
One of 2 suspects. It actually is Akash Dalal of New Brunswick and Anthony Graziano of Lodi, New Jersey, were accused of attacks against the congregation Beth El in Rutherford Temple. And they have been charged with bias intimidation and actually a string of synagogue fire bombings. And it seems that Akash has a very big role to play in this.
Well, Akash, you know, Akash, New Brunswick, and Anthony Lodi, New Jersey, right? They are 2 friends. New Brunswick and Lodi are at least 1 hour apart, but regardless of it, they are two good friends.
Right.
And according to Anthony's attorney in the court, he said that Akash Dalal came up with this idea to make, how to make fire bombings by getting instructions online. And he actually, he actually suggested Anthony that we should go out and use the fire bombings on this Jewish community center in Paramus, and as well as Temple Bethel in Hackensack, and the other facility in the Maywood. So Akash Dalal was part of this whole conspiracy, and now they are being held, and they could be sentenced 30 years to life in prison.
Wow. Yeah, and it seems as though, Akash was kind of the orchestrator behind this whole thing.
How to make fire bombings, how to throw it,
right.
where to throw it.
Right.
He basically planned out the whole thing.
Yeah, and Dalal was the teacher, apparently, and Graziano was the student, it seems. But Graziano has a lower... That's why Graziano has a lower bail amount. But it seems that both of them are going to plead not guilty in this case.
This was a really bad student-teacher relationship. Really, really bad,
Right.
Causing a lot of damage.
Right. I mean, in this case, in no instance should hate crimes be excused, whether it's in the Sikh community or by the Indian community on other communities. In this case, a Jewish community. Right. They should be working to stop these hate crimes.
Yep. It's normally you don't hear Indian being part of these hate crime things, and especially making fire bombings. This is a very unusual story, but
right. All right, so what's our next story?
Next story has to do with our local story in New Jersey. Glen Rock is a town where there is a Gurudwara, and that Gurudwara has been there for a number of years, and it serves the North Jersey Indian American community. So it's there, and this cashier, what they call is, and a committee member, Mr. Kulwant Singh, was arrested in connection with an alleged theft of $75,000 from Gurudwara funds.
Wow, and he was the vice president of this.
They say cashier. According to report, they say cashier, and he was a part of the committee. So he had an access to this, cash funds of Gurudwara. But then there are conflicting reports. Someone from the committee member may be part of this scam, may not be. Nothing has been proved. While this Kulwant Singh actually is in the Rockford County Jail. But according to their bylaws, Kulwant Singh was not allowed to use any check of more than $500 without second signature.
Right.
So the question is that how did he, get $75,000? How did he get that much access to get $75,000 from Gurudwara funds and use it for his own personal use?
Oh wow! Well, we did talk about one Gurudwara story in the
California.
past.
In California, it was a couple of weeks ago, where I think middle of the night, thieves came in
and they stole from the donation box. Right. So, these donation boxes should really
has nothing to do with any one of these stories.
No, it doesn't. But these donation boxes really should be guarded a lot more carefully, in Hindu temples and Gurudwaras, because it does seem to be a target.
That's right.
So, all right, those are all the news stories that we have for this week, Sanjiv.
That's right.
All right. Keep watching us week after week on Eye on South Asia. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for Eye on South Asia.
Every week we bring you some good stories and bad stories targeting South Asian community in the U.S. and Canada.
Exactly. But they'll sure to be interesting.
Sure.
All right. So until next week, this is Bhavna Vannan wishing you a great weekend and signing off.
And I'm Sanjiv Pandya. See you all next week. Eye on South Asia.